Most people who claim they want to become billionaires never even get close. Not because the world is unfair, but because they never confront the brutal requirements of the goal. Becoming a billionaire is not a dream, it's a calculated construction. It demands clarity, obsession, leverage, and the willingness to make decisions that the average person finds uncomfortable or even impossible. This audiobook is not designed to inspire you. It's designed to expose the mechanics behind people who reach a billion and the steps you must follow if you're serious about pursuing that path. If you think becoming a billionaire is about luck, timing, or being born into the right family, you should stop listening now. This is for people who want the truth, not excuses. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The decision most people never make. A billion starts with a decision, a real, non-negotiable decision. Not a wish whispered at night, not a vague ambition, not a fantasy of wealth that fades when reality sets in. A decision. The kind that shakes the core of your life and reshapes it. The moment you make it, you're no longer playing around with ideas or dabbling in side projects. You are consciously committing to a path so demanding that most people will immediately dismiss it. Most people never even reach this stage because it's uncomfortable, it's inconvenient. It forces them to confront themselves, their habits, their relationships, and their limits. And most people are unwilling to do that. Making this decision is about declaring, without excuses, that your life will be designed around creating something massive, something that affects millions of people and generates far more value than you can personally consume. It is about committing to solving a problem or creating a system so significant that the world cannot ignore it. This is not about chasing money alone. Money is just a reflection of the scale of the problem you are solving. The real focus is impact, leverage, and creating a structure that can grow beyond the limits of your personal effort. This decision requires unreasonable focus. I mean, focus that is so intense that everything unrelated to your goal begins to feel like wasted time. You can no longer afford to consume entertainment or content passively. You can't tolerate meaningless social interactions, unproductive hobbies, or people who drain your energy. Your environment, the people you interact with, the places you spend time, the media you absorb, must all be calibrated to reinforce your decision. Everything that does not move you towards scale must be eliminated. That includes habits, relationships, routines, and even parts of your identity that don't serve the vision you've committed to. Most people underestimate how much of a shift this is. When you make a decision of this magnitude, your old life will not fit. Your old circle may not understand. Some will criticize, some will distance themselves, and some will try to convince you that you're delusional. That's normal. In fact, it's predictable. The bigger your vision, the more it challenges the comfort zones of those around you. This is why most billionaires experience a period of isolation early in their journey. Not because they are antisocial, but because the clarity and intensity required to execute on this level often separates them from anyone not operating at the same wavelength. Making the decision is not just about what you will do, it's about what you will stop doing. Every hour you spend consuming content or participating in activities that do not bring you closer to impact is a wasted hour. Every weak habit is a chain holding you back. Every distracting relationship is a drain on energy that could be applied to creating value at scale. Most people resist cutting these loose because it's uncomfortable. Comfort is seductive. It feels safe, but it is the enemy of exponential growth. If you want to reach 1 billion, you must embrace discomfort. You must prioritize long-term leverage over short-term satisfaction. The decision to pursue 1 billion is also about your mindset. This is where most people fail. You must train yourself to think in systems, not individual actions. $1 billion cannot be achieved one transaction at a time. It requires designing a machine, a structure, or a strategy that multiplies itself. This shift in perspective is profound. It changes how you view resources, time, relationships, and even failure. Failure is no longer a catastrophe, it's feedback. Resources are not assets to hoard, they are tools to deploy aggressively. Time is not something to fill, it is the primary currency of your leverage. Most people never adopt this mindset because it is uncomfortable to rewire your thinking. It's far easier to chase incremental gains or focus on safe paths. But safe paths do not create billion-dollar outcomes. Another element of this decision is personal accountability. When you commit to building a billion-dollar trajectory, excuses no longer exist. You can't blame the economy, the market, or your upbringing. You can't hope for luck to bail you out. The responsibility rests entirely on your decisions, your execution, and your persistence. That level of accountability is terrifying, which is exactly why most people avoid it. But if you are serious, fear becomes a tool. It sharpens your focus, forces prioritization, and demands discipline. It's also crucial to understand that making this decision is not a one-time event. It is a continuous reaffirmation. Every day presents choices that test your commitment. Will you stay up late to solve a critical problem or scroll social media? Will you invest your time in building relationships that open new doors or maintain superficial friendships? Will you learn relentlessly or settle for comfort in existing knowledge? Each choice either strengthens or weakens the decision you made to pursue a billion-dollar path. Consistency is non-negotiable because the world doesn't wait for anyone, and momentum compounds faster than procrastination. Finally, understand this. The decision to pursue $1 billion is inherently lonely. There are few peers who understand the pressure, the urgency, and the magnitude of your vision. There will be sacrifices. Relationships may strain, social life may diminish, and the comfort you once knew may disappear. But this is not a flaw, it's a feature. Isolation creates clarity, pressure sharpens decision-making, and sacrifice fuels long-term rewards. The question is simple. Are you willing to pay the price most people refuse to pay? If you are not ready to make that decision, if the thought of eliminating comfort or confronting your weaknesses terrifies you, then stop here. Billionaire paths are not for the faint-hearted. But if you embrace this decision fully, if you internalize the stakes, and if you let this choice reshape every aspect of your life, then you have taken the first and most critical step on the path to $1 billion. Everything else, the strategy, the execution, the team, the capital, will build on this foundation. Without this step, the rest is meaningless. This is where billionaires separate from dreamers. Chapter 2. Find a problem worth $1 billion. You don't become a billionaire by chasing random opportunities or copying what everyone else is doing. You don't get there by following trends or hoping that some lucky idea will magically explode. The world doesn't reward guesswork. It rewards value that solves real, painful, and massive problems. And the scale of the problem determines the scale of the reward. A small problem produces small results. $1 billion outcome requires a problem so big, so widespread, and so unsolved that people are practically desperate for a solution. The first mistake most people make is thinking that passion alone is enough. Do what you love and money will follow, they say. That's a comforting lie. Doing what you love can create satisfaction, but it does not create billions. You must marry passion with scale. You must find a problem where the stakes are high and the market is enormous. The problem must affect millions of people, and ideally, It should be a problem they cannot solve on their own. The bigger the pain, the bigger the opportunity. Billionaires don't chase easy money, they chase problems that are hard, costly, and critical to the lives of others. Finding the right problem requires sharp observation and ruthless honesty. Look at industries that are inefficient, outdated, or frustrating. Listen to complaints from customers and businesses alike. Watch where money flows and where people waste time, energy, and resources. The world is full of inefficiencies, but only a few of them are worth tackling on a scale that can produce $1 billion outcome. You must separate minor annoyances from systemic problems. Fixing minor annoyances might make life a little easier for a few people, but it will never move the needle at a scale that matters. The key is universality. The problem you pursue should be so widespread that the solution can touch millions or even billions of lives. The solution must be indispensable, something people cannot ignore or live without once it exists. Look at the companies and individuals who have reached $1 billion mark. They didn't create novelty for novelty's sake. They identified pain points embedded in daily life or business operations and built solutions that became unavoidable. They didn't ask if people wanted it, they asked if people needed it. Timing also matters. Even if a problem is massive, it might not be solvable today. The world may lack the technology, infrastructure, or mindset to adopt a solution. Understanding timing is crucial. Successful billionaires have a rare ability to see when the world is ready for a solution before the rest of the market realizes it. They don't just react to trends, they anticipate them and position themselves ahead of the curve. That's why innovation alone isn't enough. You can invent something remarkable, but if the market isn't ready, the reward will be delayed or diluted. Another critical dimension is leverage. A problem worth $1 billion must allow you to scale your solution efficiently. You must design for growth from the outset. A small, local solution may solve a problem effectively, but if it cannot expand, it cannot create $1 billion outcome. Think in systems, not single products. Your solution should be replicable, distributable, and capable of reaching millions without requiring a linear increase in your effort. The power of leverage separates small entrepreneurs from billionaires. It allows you to multiply your impact exponentially. You also need to think about defensibility. Once you identify a big problem and design a solution, the market will notice. Competitors will emerge. Your solution must be difficult to replicate, whether through intellectual property, brand positioning, network effects, or technological advantage. If it is too easy to copy, you're building a business that can be competed away, not a platform that produces lasting wealth. Billionaires build moats. Their solutions don't just fix problems, they create barriers that protect their position in the market. Emotional intelligence plays a role here as well. Understanding the psychology of the people experiencing the problem is as important as understanding the problem itself. What drives them? What frustrates them? What motivates them to act or pay? Billionaires don't just solve problems, they anticipate desires, fears, and behaviors. They design solutions that feel indispensable, intuitive, and inevitable. The goal is to create a product or system that people adopt automatically, without thinking. If adoption requires persuasion or constant effort, you haven't reached the scale necessary for $1 billion outcome. Finally, clarity and decisiveness are critical. Many aspiring entrepreneurs spend years exploring problems without committing. They dabble, pivot, and second-guess themselves. This is fatal. Once you identify a problem that meets the scale, universality, leverage, timing, and defensibility criteria, you must commit fully. Half-hearted effort will not reach $1 billion. Your energy, resources, and focus must be dedicated to solving this problem better and faster than anyone else. Obsession is required because solving a massive problem is never easy. There will be setbacks, rejections, and failures. Only those with relentless persistence and unwavering focus will make it through. To summarize, a billion-dollar path begins with a problem worth $1 billion. You must identify pain that is large, widespread, and deeply felt. You must ensure that your solution can scale, that it can't be easily copied, and that it arrives at the right time. You must understand the human dynamics of the problem and commit to solving it with unmatched intensity. Most people never get past this stage because it requires vision, discipline, and courage. They chase small, comfortable opportunities instead. You cannot. If you want to reach $1 billion, you must focus on the problem that others either overlook, ignore, or fear tackling. This is the foundation upon which every billionaire builds their empire. Without a problem of this magnitude, no strategy, no capital, and no team can compensate. Chapter 3. Build an unfair advantage. No matter how big the problem you identify, no matter how brilliant your idea or innovative your solution, you will never reach $1 billion without an unfair advantage. The market is ruthless. It rewards speed, leverage, and unique positioning. It punishes the ordinary, the average, and the easily replicable. Most aspiring entrepreneurs fail here because they assume being good enough or better than average is sufficient. It is not. Being better is temporary. It can be copied, surpassed, or rendered irrelevant. An unfair advantage, on the other hand, is durable, scalable, and nearly impossible to challenge. An unfair advantage is what makes competition irrelevant. It can take many forms, but the core principle is always the same. It allows you to operate at a level others cannot, either because they lack your resources, knowledge, access, or execution. It might be proprietary technology, a distribution network that nobody else can access, exclusive relationships, or unique insight into a market that others overlook. Sometimes it is simply the ability to execute with relentless speed and precision when competitors hesitate. Whatever the form, it must create a gap so wide that others cannot catch up without immense effort or cost. One of the most underestimated forms of unfair advantage is knowledge. Knowledge is leverage, and in the hands of a determined individual, it can be transformed into exponential outcomes. Understanding the nuances of an industry, anticipating regulatory shifts, mastering consumer psychology, or recognizing patterns others overlook can all create an edge. This knowledge is not casually acquired. It comes from relentless study, observation, and practical application over time. Few are willing to commit to this depth of understanding, and that is exactly why it is so powerful. Another dimension of unfair advantage is speed. The faster you can move, decide, and execute, the more insulated you are from competition. Most businesses fail not because of bad ideas, but because they move too slowly. A well-timed product launch, a rapid acquisition, or the ability to pivot before the market reacts can make the difference between failure and a billion-dollar trajectory. Speed compounds. It allows you to iterate, learn, and dominate while others are still debating or hesitating. This is why billionaires obsess over efficiency and execution. They know that in business, velocity is often more valuable than perfection. Capital can also serve as an unfair advantage, but only when used strategically. Access to money allows you to scale faster, take calculated risks, and seize opportunities that competitors cannot. It is not just about having capital, it's about using it to amplify your edge. Those who understand capital allocation can multiply their impact exponentially. Those who treat money as an end rather than a tool are doomed to plateau long before they reach a billion. Relationships and networks form yet another critical, unfair advantage. Connections with the right people, mentors, partners, suppliers, and decision-makers can provide opportunities, knowledge, and leverage that are inaccessible to most. This is why many billionaires invest as much effort in cultivating relationships as they do in building products. But relationships alone are not enough. They must be strategic, reciprocal, and aligned with your long-term vision. Weak or superficial networks create illusions of advantage that crumble under pressure. Technology, when applied correctly, is a force multiplier. Proprietary systems, algorithms, or platforms that others cannot replicate give you a structural edge. The power of technology lies in its ability to scale without proportional increases in effort. It transforms labor into leverage, time into results, and ideas into impact. But this advantage only works if it is genuinely unique, difficult to copy, and central to solving the problem you've chosen. A minor technical improvement will not make you untouchable. It must be foundational. Perhaps the most overlooked unfair advantage is mindset. The ability to think long-term, to embrace discomfort, and to persist when most people quit cannot be underestimated. Many fail not due to lack of resources or knowledge, but because they lack the psychological resilience to endure pressure, uncertainty, and repeated failure. Billionaires cultivate mental toughness as a core asset. They anticipate challenges, accept risk rationally, and remain patient while maintaining relentless focus. Their mindset allows them to act decisively when others hesitate and to persevere when others abandon ship. Unfair advantage is not static. It must evolve as your business grows and the market shifts. What is insurmountable today may be easily copied tomorrow. That is why billionaires continuously invest in strengthening and multiplying their edges. They protect their advantages through innovation, strategic positioning, and relentless execution. They don't assume success is permanent. They fight for it every day. Finally, understand that building an unfair advantage is not about playing fair in a traditional sense. It's about maximizing leverage ethically and strategically. You do not need to destroy competitors, but you do need to operate in a space where your edge is undeniable. The unfair advantage is the difference between incremental wealth and exponential system-level wealth. Without it, no matter how brilliant your problem or execution, reaching $1 billion is unlikely. To summarize, an unfair advantage is what separates billionaires from competent entrepreneurs. It is the combination of unique knowledge, speed, capital efficiency, strategic relationships, technological leverage, and mental resilience. It creates a position where others struggle to compete. Scale is inevitable, and execution multiplies the impact of every decision you make. Identifying and relentlessly strengthening this advantage is not optional. It is the key to moving from ordinary success to extraordinary wealth. If you cannot define your unfair advantage, you cannot realistically pursue $1 billion path. Chapter 4. Scale with systems, not effort. Many aspiring entrepreneurs confuse hard work with results. They measure effort by the hours they spend, the late nights they endure, or the stress they tolerate. But if your goal is $1 billion, hard work alone will not get you there. You cannot outwork the universe, outspend competitors indefinitely, or personally handle every detail. To reach this level, you must shift your mindset from labor to leverage. You must build systems, not just rely on effort. Systems are the engines that allow exponential growth. They convert your vision into repeatable outcomes, reduce reliance on your personal input, and multiply the impact of every decision. Think about it. If your wealth is tied solely to your ability to perform, your ceiling is your own capacity. If you can do 100 units of work in a week, that's your limit. Systems break that ceiling. They allow 100 units of input to produce 1,000 or 10,000 units of output. Systems are how billionaires multiply themselves. The first step in building a system is understanding repeatability. Ask yourself which processes in your business or project are recurring and could be standardized. Tasks that depend on your judgment or creativity can often be codified into workflows, templates, or algorithms. Tasks that are mundane or manual can be automated. The more you can create processes that operate reliably without constant intervention, the more scalable your operation becomes. A well-designed system does not require heroic effort. It requires thoughtful design, monitoring, and continuous improvement. Delegation is the second pillar of scaling with systems. No one can do everything alone, and trying to do so is a trap that limits growth. But delegation is not handing off tasks to anyone. It is carefully matching the right person or team to the right responsibility, ensuring they have clear accountability and giving them the authority to act. The goal is not to supervise every step, but to create a network of people executing at a level equal to or higher than you in their areas of expertise. You are building an organism, not a solo act. Automation and technology amplify systems further. In today's world, nearly every operational task can be automated or optimized. Customer acquisition, service delivery, inventory management, financial tracking, and communication can all be systematized. A system that leverages technology does not scale linearly, it scales exponentially. Every dollar, every hour, and every resource is multiplied through automation. The more you can remove your personal bottleneck, the faster and larger your enterprise can grow. Measurement and feedback are equally crucial. A system is only as strong as your understanding of how it performs. You must identify key metrics that define success and build mechanisms to track them continuously. Without feedback, a system becomes blind. You need insight into every process so you can adjust, optimize, and expand. Billionaires obsess over this because small inefficiencies that go unnoticed compound into massive losses over time. Systems without measurement are illusions of control. They appear functional, but in reality, they leak value constantly. Another critical aspect of scaling through systems is designing for resilience. Systems are not just about speed and efficiency, they are about reliability under pressure. They must function even when circumstances are unpredictable, people fail, or the market shifts. Redundancy, contingency, planning, and robust protocols ensure that your system continues to operate and deliver results when others falter. A resilient system allows you to pursue ambitious goals without constantly firefighting every minor problem. The philosophy behind system-based growth also requires a shift in mindset. You must stop valuing effort as an indicator of progress. Long hours are meaningless if they do not feed the system. Heroic personal performance is fleeting and unsustainable. Real power lies in creating leverage that persists independently of your presence. The goal is to have a machine that grows on its own momentum while you focus on improving, innovating, and scaling it further. Building systems also allows for replicability. Once a system is proven to work in one area, it can be expanded to new markets, products, or divisions without starting from scratch. Replicability is the mechanism that turns successful operations into billion-dollar ventures. Each replication multiplies impact and revenue, creating compounding returns that cannot be achieved through personal effort alone. This is how businesses move from modest profits to global dominance. However, designing systems is not easy. It requires patience, clarity, and discipline. Most people fail because they want immediate results and believe that constant hands-on effort equals growth. They resist codifying knowledge, training others, or investing in infrastructure because it feels slower in the short term. But building for scale is always a long-term play. The initial effort to design robust systems pays off exponentially later. The smarter you are about your systems, the less you personally need to do to achieve massive outcomes. Finally, understand that scaling with systems is what separates billionaires from everyone else. Ordinary businesses depend on sweat and luck. Billion-dollar enterprises depend on engines that operate independently, multiply resources, and expand without constant intervention. Systems create the capacity for vision to outgrow execution. They transform your ideas into results that persist, grow, and amplify over time. Without systems, your growth will always be capped by your own physical and mental limits. With them, the impossible becomes achievable. In summary, effort alone will never create a billion-dollar outcome. To reach that scale, you must think in terms of leverage, repeatability, automation, delegation, measurement, resilience, and replication. Every process, every resource, every action should be designed to multiply impact and reduce dependence on your personal input. The world rewards results, not effort. Systems allow you to create exponential results from finite effort. Build the machine, monitor it, optimize it, and scale it relentlessly. This is the foundation upon which every billionaire multiplies their influence and wealth beyond the limits of any individual. Chapter 5. Master capital and multiply it ruthlessly. No billionaire ever got there without mastering money. Not casually, not accidentally, and not by chance. Capital is the fuel, the lever, and the amplifier that allows your vision to grow beyond personal effort. If you think wealth is created purely through ideas, sweat, or talent, you are missing the single most critical ingredient: the ability to command, allocate, and multiply capital at scale. Understanding money is not optional. It is the difference between small success and empire-level wealth. First, you must see capital not as a reward or a trophy, but as a tool. It is a multiplier, not an end in itself. Every dollar you control should be deployed strategically to accelerate growth, acquire leverage, and solve bigger problems. Money sitting idle is stagnation. Money deployed recklessly is destruction. But money deployed intelligently is exponential power. The faster you learn to think in terms of deployment, the faster you grow. This is why billionaires obsess over capital, not because they are greedy, but because it is the single most effective resource to transform vision into reality. Raising capital is the first skill you must master. Few people can generate billions solely from personal savings. You must attract resources from investors, partners, or financial institutions, and you must do it on terms that amplify your advantage. Raising capital is not about convincing people your idea is good. It is about demonstrating that you can create outsized returns reliably. Investors, banks, and strategic partners will give money to the person who understands the risk, the system, and the path to scale. The ability to raise capital is not just a skill. It is a gateway to opportunities that ordinary entrepreneurs cannot access. Once you have capital, the next step is allocation. Where you deploy funds determines whether your growth is exponential or stagnant. Allocate aggressively to areas that generate leverage, technology that scales, teams that execute faster, acquisitions that expand reach, or marketing that compounds influence. Every allocation decision should be measured against a single criterion: what will multiply, impact fastest and most reliably? Friction, inefficiency, and hesitation are expensive. Billionaires allocate capital with ruthless clarity because each decision compounds into outcomes far beyond the immediate dollar value. Multiplying capital is where skill meets audacity. Reinvesting profits strategically, acquiring competitors, entering new markets, and leveraging debt or equity are all methods to grow your resources exponentially. Billionaires do not wait for opportunities, they create them. They understand the time value of money, compounding, and risk-adjusted return better than anyone else. Small gains repeated strategically turn into massive outcomes. Conversely, small mistakes magnified by capital can destroy empires. Mastery lies in understanding both the upside and the downside, and acting decisively with calculated confidence. Understanding leverage is critical. Capital allows you to do more than what you could do with your own labor. It is the force that turns a single idea into a global operation. When used intelligently, leverage multiplies impact faster than time or effort ever could. It allows you to hire exceptional talent, invest in superior technology, and enter markets that would otherwise be unreachable. Every billionaire understands leverage intuitively. They do not see money as finite. They see it as a tool to expand, influence, and accelerate growth. Risk management is a central part of capital mastery. Every investment, acquisition, or expansion carries risk. But billionaires do not avoid risk. They calculate it, mitigate it, and use it as a tool. Understanding the probabilities, contingencies, and systemic implications of each decision allows them to deploy capital with confidence. Fear is not absent, it is controlled and rational. In contrast, hesitation, indecision, or emotional attachment to capital kills opportunities before they can multiply. The discipline to act decisively with large sums is what separates billionaires from everyone else. Protecting capital is equally important. Growth is meaningless if it can be wiped out by avoidable mistakes, legal exposure, or operational errors. Asset protection, diversification, strategic insurance, and regulatory awareness are all part of the equation. Billionaires are not reckless, they are audacious, but cautious in ways most people never understand. They deploy resources to maximize growth while insulating themselves from catastrophic risk. The balance between aggression and prudence is delicate but essential. Finally, a billionaire-level mindset toward capital requires relentless learning. Markets change, technologies evolve, and new forms of leverage emerge constantly. You must understand emerging financial instruments, alternative assets, and global opportunities. You must study the moves of others who successfully multiplied their capital and learn from failures, both your own and others. Money is dynamic, and your ability to adapt and exploit it determines whether your trajectory remains exponential or stagnates. In summary, capital is the lifeblood of wealth at scale. You cannot reach $1 billion without understanding, commanding, and multiplying it. Think of money as fuel, leverage, and a tool for solving bigger problems. Learn to raise it intelligently, allocate it strategically, multiply it ruthlessly, manage risk effectively, protect it diligently, and adapt continuously. The billionaire does not see wealth as static. They see it as energy to be directed, amplified, and compounded. Master this, and you unlock the ability to grow your vision beyond personal limits, transforming ambition into reality at the scale of billions. Chapter 6. Build a team of obsessed, sharp, and dangerous thinkers. No one builds a billion-dollar enterprise alone. You might have the idea, the vision, and even the capital, but without the right team, all of that remains potential, never realized. The difference between a successful entrepreneur and a billionaire is rarely the quality of their idea, it's the quality of the people executing it. A team of average performers can never produce extraordinary results. To create something at the scale of $1 billion, you must surround yourself with people who are not just competent, but obsessed, sharp, and dangerous in their abilities. Building such a team begins with clarity of purpose. Every person you bring in must understand, internalize, and align with your mission. Alignment is more important than skill in the early stages. A brilliant individual who doesn't share your vision will slow progress, create friction, and ultimately reduce your leverage. Obsession with the mission is non-negotiable. When every member of your team is equally committed to the outcome, they will take initiative, solve problems proactively, and push beyond their comfort zones. Ordinary people perform for a paycheck. Exceptional people perform because the mission drives them, and that is what multiplies your impact. Recruiting the right people is not about filling positions, it's about building a network of specialists who complement and elevate your capabilities. You need sharp minds who can see opportunities and threats before anyone else. You need problem solvers who thrive under pressure and think several steps ahead. You need people who question assumptions, challenge conventional thinking, and refuse to accept mediocrity. These are not employees, they are extensions of your strategic vision. They are capable of executing independently while maintaining alignment with the larger goal. But it's not enough to hire talented individuals. You must also cultivate a culture where obsession with excellence is standard. Ordinary workplaces tolerate mediocrity. Extraordinary teams do not. Excellence must be embedded in every process, every interaction, and every expectation. Weak performance is not overlooked. It is corrected or removed swiftly. The pressure to maintain a high standard may be uncomfortable, but discomfort is the price of creating systems capable of generating $1 billion outcome. The people who thrive under this pressure are those you want driving your mission forward. Training and development are crucial. Even the sharpest minds are not omniscient. You must invest in developing their skills, exposing them to new challenges, and mentoring them in your approach to strategy, execution, and problem-solving. Billionaires understand that the value of a team is not static. It grows over time as individuals acquire expertise, refine their judgment, and align deeper with the mission. A well-trained, high-performing team becomes self-sufficient, capable of executing at scale without constant oversight. This is leverage in its purest form. Empowerment is another essential element. A dangerous thinker is someone who can act decisively when needed. They don't wait for permission, they identify problems, take initiative, and drive results. To cultivate this, you must give people authority over their domain and hold them accountable for outcomes. Micromanagement kills initiative. Empowerment amplifies it. By creating a structure where ownership is rewarded and responsibility is clear, you allow your team to operate at a level that multiplies your own influence and frees you to focus on strategic growth. Diversity of thought is critical. A team of people who think like you may feel safe, but it limits your perspective. The billion-dollar path is fraught with challenges and unexpected twists. You need individuals who can challenge your assumptions, identify blind spots, and provide alternative strategies. Intellectual friction, when managed properly, creates innovation. It is not conflict for its own sake, but a rigorous testing of ideas that ensures the best strategies survive and weaker ones are discarded. Retention of top talent requires more than money. While competitive compensation is necessary, extraordinary individuals are driven by purpose, challenge, recognition, and growth opportunities. You must craft an environment where ambitious, capable people feel challenged daily, can make an impact, and are rewarded for results. A culture that fosters obsession, accountability, and mastery is far more valuable than one that simply offers a paycheck. High performers will leave if they feel constrained, undervalued, or underutilized. Your job is to create an environment where they cannot help but perform at their highest level. Accountability is non-negotiable. Each team member must be responsible for their results, decisions, and actions. Weak links compromise the entire operation, slowing execution, introducing errors, and reducing leverage. Billionaires do not tolerate mediocrity. They coach, correct, and, if necessary, remove individuals who fail to meet the standard. This is not cruelty, it is strategic ruthlessness. Every decision in a billion-dollar enterprise carries weight, and the team must be capable of carrying that weight without hesitation. Finally, leadership is about influence, not authority. A great leader inspires people to align with the mission voluntarily, to adopt the level of obsession required, and to think beyond their personal limits. It's not about control, it's about creating an ecosystem where the right people operate autonomously but cohesively, amplifying the reach and impact of every action. You are not building a collection of employees. You are constructing a network of independent operators moving toward a singular, massive goal. In summary, a billion-dollar outcome is impossible without a team of obsessed, sharp, and dangerous thinkers. Hiring exceptional talent is only the first step. You must cultivate alignment, train relentlessly, empower decisively, demand excellence, encourage intellectual friction, and maintain accountability. The right team multiplies your leverage, expands your capacity, and allows execution at a scale that one person alone could never achieve. The billionaire's advantage is not just in vision, capital, or systems. It is in the people who execute relentlessly, think independently, and share the obsession necessary to turn ambition into reality. Without such a team, even the most brilliant ideas will falter. With it, there is almost nothing you cannot achieve. Chapter 7. Execute with an obsession that burns through excuses. Ideas, capital, and a brilliant team are meaningless without execution. Execution is where dreams collide with reality. It is the crucible in which billion-dollar outcomes are forged. Most people fail not because their ideas are bad or their team is weak, but because they cannot execute relentlessly. Execution is not a one-time effort or a burst of motivation. It is a sustained, unrelenting force applied consistently, intelligently, and without excuse. To execute at the level required to reach $1 billion, you must develop an obsession, not casual focus, not intermittent bursts of energy. Obsession. Your mind, your time, and your resources must be consumed with precision toward moving your system, your capital, and your team toward the ultimate objective. Ordinary attention is insufficient. Distractions are deadly. Comfort is your enemy. Every moment not spent advancing the mission is a moment wasted, a moment in which competitors are gaining ground, markets are evolving, and opportunities are slipping away. Obsession manifests in daily habits. Billionaires do not leave execution to chance or inspiration. They design their days meticulously to maximize impact. They block time for high-leverage activities, cut out low-value distractions, and constantly measure progress against objectives. Execution requires structure as much as intensity. If your day is reactive, scattered, or dictated by comfort, you are surrendering the momentum needed to build extraordinary outcomes. Obsession is the engine, structure is the transmission. Both must operate in harmony to achieve scale. Speed is critical. In a world of rapid change, hesitation kills opportunity. Execution at the billionaire level is ruthless because it combines decisiveness with accuracy. You must learn to assess risks quickly, act boldly, and adjust continuously. Waiting for perfect information is a trap. Waiting for consensus is a trap. Every moment you hesitate, someone else is solving the problem, capturing the market, or consolidating power. Obsession drives action, and action compounds results. Without it, even the best-laid plans remain theoretical. Execution also demands resilience. You will encounter setbacks, rejections, and failures that would crush the average person. Systems will break, deals will fall through, and unforeseen obstacles will arise. Billionaires respond differently. They absorb the pain, analyze the failure, and adapt rapidly. Excuses are irrelevant. Delay, denial, and rationalization are luxuries reserved for those unwilling to face reality. To execute relentlessly, you must cultivate mental toughness. You must embrace discomfort, tolerate uncertainty, and remain committed when others quit. Every setback is an opportunity to strengthen the process, test the system, and prove your commitment. Decision-making is inseparable from execution. Billionaires understand that every choice has consequences magnified by scale. Execution is not blind activity, it is the intelligent application of resources, capital, and energy toward the highest impact opportunities. You must prioritize ruthlessly, eliminate low-value actions, and focus your attention where it moves the needle the most. Indecision, distraction, and half-hearted effort are fatal. Obsession requires clarity of purpose and the discipline to follow through relentlessly. Accountability drives execution. You cannot hide behind excuses, hierarchy, or external circumstances. Every outcome reflects your decisions and actions. At the level of a billion-dollar enterprise, accountability is magnified. Small lapses can cascade into significant consequences. This is why the most successful operators measure everything, track progress obsessively, and demand accountability from themselves and their teams. Obsession without accountability is wasted energy. It produces noise, not results. Consistency is another defining factor. Billionaires do not rely on luck, peaks of inspiration, or temporary bursts of effort. Execution is a marathon, not a sprint. It is the relentless repetition of high-leverage actions, day after day, month after month, year after year. Habits compound. Systems designed for scale grow more powerful the longer they are exercised. Without consistency, systems fail, capital stagnates, and talent underperforms. Execution must be embedded in the culture of your enterprise and the daily rhythm of your life. Attention to detail amplifies execution. While obsession drives action, precision ensures that action produces value. Mistakes, inefficiencies, and oversights multiply when scaled. Billionaires obsess not only over doing, but over doing correctly. Execution is optimized through measurement, feedback, and continuous refinement. Every error is a data point. Every inefficiency is an opportunity to improve the system. Obsession without rigor is wasted energy. Rigor without obsession is insufficient to break through barriers at scale. Finally, execution is the ultimate differentiator. Ideas are plentiful, capital is fleeting, and talent is replaceable. What sets billionaires apart is their ability to relentlessly turn vision into reality. They act when others hesitate. They persist when others quit. They optimize when others coast. They execute with obsession that burns through excuses, fear, and discomfort. This is not about working harder than everyone else. It's about working smarter, faster, and more relentlessly toward outcomes that matter. In summary, execution is the bridge between ambition and reality. To reach $1 billion, you must combine obsession, structure, speed, resilience, decision-making, accountability, consistency, and precision. Excuses, distractions, and comfort are lethal. Every action, every resource, every decision must be applied toward moving the system, the capital, and the team forward. The world rewards results, not intentions. Obsession with execution ensures that your plans, your systems, and your team produce outcomes that scale beyond personal limits. Without execution, the path to $1 billion remains theoretical. With it, there is almost nothing you cannot achieve.